I'd like to thank you and the committee for allowing me to take this opportunity to explain the vital role that conservation districts play in preserving Pennsylvania's natural resources, and the worthwhile environmental activities districts perform on a daily basis, and the state appropriations earmarked for these services. I'm not going to read, obviously, the entire report, but I would like to talk to you about two issues. I would like to talk to you about the state appropriations and also dedicated funding for conservation districts. As far as budgetary issues is concerned, the conservation districts line items in both the Department of Agriculture and the Department of Environmental Protection were significantly reduced in the governor's proposed budget for 2009-2010. Additionally, his proposed budget does not include the legislative add-ons that you folks have made sure have been put in the budget on an annual basis. So if you take both of those things into consideration, you'll note that the conservation district budgetary decrease is at about 20% for this year versus proposed for next year. That means that over $1 million will have to be put into the budget by legislative add-ons just to bring us back to what the appropriations were for this current year. But what makes the districts different from anyone else? Why are the districts so important? The reason the districts are important is that if they did not exist, state departments would have to take over the implementation of the programs that have been delegated or contracted to the districts. That means that, for instance, as an example, DEP would have to take over all of the permitting and inspection activities for the erosion and sedimentation control programs, or the ENS program, and for the NPDES permitting program throughout the state. Now, to give you a reference point, in 2007 alone, the conservation districts approved 2,200 NPDES general and individual permits, and over 14,000 plans were reviewed by the conservation district. That is just 1 year alone. But that's only one program. If you look at my testimony, you'll see that there are approximately a dozen different programs that conservation districts are involved with. Things like the nutrient management program, things like the dirt and gravel road program, the Chesapeake Bay program. The list is very extensive. And if we didn't have conservation districts, all of that work would still have to be accomplished. So that would mean that, for instance, if the program or an agricultural program, it would have to come from the Department of Agriculture, or if there were more environmental programs, it would be through DEP or one of the other agencies. But how could that happen if, as in the proposed budget, the Department of DEP is proposed to have I believe it is 5.5% decrease in staff positions, and in Department of Agriculture, 13% staff positions will be decreased. So how on earth would we have the technical assistance without the conservation districts and without the additional money for the different agencies across the state? So that's the peril that conservation districts are in. But my second point is dedicated funding. As all of you know, because I've talked to all of you about dedicated funding, you know that PACD, or Pennsylvania Association of Conservation Districts, has been supported dedicated funding for district activities. And that would be for approximately 50% of the cost share for basic staff positions and cost of living increases. One possible proposal that has come before the General Assembly, particularly in the House just currently, but I'm sure that it will be discussed in the Senate as well, is some kind of a royalty program or severance tax program for the extraction of Marcellus Shale gas deposits. The proposal that I have seen establishes a minimum of $2,000 bid per acre for state-owned land where there's Marcellus Shale extraction. That $2,000 would also, per acre, would also include a 16% minimum royalty payment based on current industry standards. So if you look at those two together and you look at the proposed legislation, you'll see that it would generate quite a bit of money, $260 million in the first year. In the proposal, the vast majority of that would go to balance the state budget. However, significant to the conservation districts, 5% of the annual total, or approximately $13 million for the first year, would be allocated to the Conservation District Fund to help all conservation districts across the state maintain their environmental protection programs. And that's significant because it's new money. It's not money that we would be taking from some other pot within the Department of Agriculture, and it would only be on state-owned forest land. The proposal estimates that they would have the proposal at 130,000 acres of state forest land over a 3-year period, so that would be approximately 390,000 acres over that period. On a very related note, I would be remiss if I didn't tell you that Senator Mary Jo White recently amended Senate Bill 490, which ultimately the Senate passed, which would allow for $1 million for conservation districts that do have the responsibilities related to oil and gas development activities regulated by DEP to conduct inspections in permitted oil and gas sites. So those are the two issues that I would like to relate to both of you. It's undisputed that conservation districts provide much-needed services to the Commonwealth citizens to help them identify and resolve critical natural resource concerns, and at a very reasonable cost. Lebanon County Conservation District just recently calculated that their services were at a cost of $1.28 per capita to the residents in their county. $1.28, that's all. It's an incredible statement, considering the need for conservation districts to respond to the myriad of soil, water, and air issues that arise from the impacts of land development, agriculture, and global impacts, just to name a few in our daily lives. That's my proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much.